Now, the X-Men have been an established team spanning over a 60-year period, and with the MCU bringing the X-Men to the big screen, one question remains: who will be the focal point or the POV character? So for those that are not in the know, the POV character is a character in which the narrative is told through their eyes. Now, we've seen this many times with team-based superhero films or just team-based films in general, like Frodo in Lord of the Rings or Rorschach in Watchmen. Hell, you even seen it with the first X-Men film through the eyes of Wolverine and Rogue. So what makes a good POV character, particularly for the X-Men? Now, the X-Men are a unique bunch of comic book team, dynamics where it's a very team-based comic or a very team-based entity into itself. So you won't really see a lot of solo characters unless your name is Wolverine, or maybe you can carry your own film if your name is maybe Magneto. But generally the X-Men is a very focused team, family based, kind of the same vein as the Fantastic Four. So when you look at the comics and you look at the characters of the X-Men, you've seen it in a lot of the comics and the animated series where we've seen POVs from the likes of Jean back in the 1960s with the first X-Men issue, Kitty Pryde in the 1980s, and even with Jubilee in the X-Men animated series. These characters were not only new to their abilities, but also the world of the X-Men. So a good POV would be a mutant who is not only new to their abilities, but also the world of the X-Men, as mentioned previously, which means Kamala Khan may be out of this situation because she has been experienced with her mutation, even though that was kind of retconned into the MCU. For my pick, I'm not only going to look at the comic books, but I'm also going to look at other media and compile a list of the characters I believe will make good POVs for the X-Men. And for the MCU moving forward, I think that this character should definitely be the focal point. So starting off the list, I'm going to go with Kitty Pryde. Kitty Pryde has been one of my favorite X-Men characters growing up. I read the X-Men Omnibus series where it was like the giant collection of black and white reprints. Kitty Pryde right off the bat would make a perfect POV character, giving her long history with the X-Men at the age of 13, and then as an adult trains and even taught the new generation of X-Men characters, new mutants, on how to be mutants and how to be X-Men ultimately. Now imagine the things that MCU could do with her ability. Not only can she phase through solid objects, but she can also walk on air by phasing through molecules, but also she was trained in hand-to-hand combat under the tutelage of Wolverine and Ogun. But then if you were to kind of flip that coin, now Shadowcat was very big in the 80s. If you were to flip it and go into the 90s, Jubilee would be more interesting. Now, Jubilee was seen more prominently in the 90s X-Men series and then X-Men 97, and she, in my opinion, will probably be a better fit than Kitty Pryde because she's more boisterous, more bubbly, makes more of an outgoing presence, especially with her photoplasmic fireworks generating abilities. And much like Kitty, Jubilee has a close mentor-mentee relationship with Wolverine that fans are more familiar with than the former. Now, I know fans have been wanting to see more of Jubilee. We got a glimpse of her in X-Men Dark Phoenix, and there was a deleted scene where she used her abilities, whereas in the original X-Men trilogy, you saw glimpses of her in the background, and then there was also another deleted scene where her powers showcased in the museum. But with her origins being tied to the mall, it would be interesting to see if she stumbles into the X-Men proper while on the run from security, or maybe even a Sentinel like it was in the animated series. Now for my last choice, honestly, I didn't want to separate them. I wanted to kind of add them together. So I'm going to say Cyclops and Storm. Now I had to kind of switch it up here because ultimately these two are kind of cut from the same cloth. They're both orphans. They're both characters in which, had nothing and then found a family with the X-Men. So I can definitely see that, Cyclops being the original student, one of the original five X-Men, and the adopted son of Charles Xavier, he can definitely grow from a teenager to a more capable leader if the MCU decides to go younger, who's able to lead the X-Men on multiple occasions when Professor Xavier cannot. This would be due to his tactical strategies and his unwavering ideals that are pretty much mirrored to Professor Xavier. And sometimes in the comics, we see that he's starting to kind of lean towards more Magneto territory. But then you have Storm, who is a natural leader and leads the X-Men even when she lost her abilities and even bested Cyclops in battle without her powers. I would say that she and he would probably be the best option if the MCU were to go with a smaller X-Men group where, Professor Xavier's just starting to build his team. But I would say in the original 5 being Cyclops, Jean, Iceman, Beast, and Angel, I would replace Angel and put Storm on the team. Not only does that add, of course, the corporate diversity that they need, but also it adds an element to the leadership role. We've seen Storm lead the X-Men on multiple occasions in Cyclops' absence, but we've also seen her again lead the X-Men in a different way than Cyclops ever could. Like, he's more, strategic by the book. She's more compassionate and sees everyone's strength and inspires the team to move forward. I think that would also add an extra dimension, not only to the team, but to each other. Whereas, again, they were both orphans brought into a found family, and seeing that dichotomy where it's like, Cyclops struggling to be a leader and Storm naturally being a leader would definitely add some tension there, which I think we kind of got to touch on with Iron Man and Captain America, which I think the MCU can definitely do with, Storm and Cyclops. I think that they should be the focal point, much like, again, how the Avengers, the focal point is Iron Man and Captain America, and that led to Civil War. We've seen that happen multiple times with the X-Men, where the team is divided, and usually it's with Cyclops and Wolverine, but it'd be kind of interesting to see with Storm. But hey, that's my opinion. Let me know what you all think in the comments below. I'll be interested to hear what you would think a POV character would be for the X-Men, if that character would, be any character that I mentioned. I know I mentioned about maybe 4 characters. I know that there are a ton of X-Men characters that would, benefit for being a POV character, like Nightcrawler, maybe Colossus, maybe Magic if they go with the New Mutants. So it'd be kind of interesting. But again, let me know what you all think in the comments, but please don't forget to do all the YouTube things, like, share, subscribe, and please, please, please leave a like, engage in the comments below. It really helps me out a lot, and take care.